All right, today we got the next part in the series. We have been watching Some Ordinary Gamers Raid Shadow Legends videos. Now, previously we watched I Won't Be Bribed by Raid Shadow Legends, where basically he just kind of broke down sort of like upper echelon gaming, that the game is very greedy, monetization, pay to win, auto game that he does not like and will not accept money and sponsorship. So the next one was I was offered money to promote Raid Shadow Legends, so I'm kind of curious to see what this one's about, because I sneaked through and just kind of like peeked my hand through here, and I saw that there was another game in here he was playing. There was another mobile game they uses as a reference, but I don't want to spoil it yet. That's kind of interesting because I actually played the game for a minute off stream. So let's go ahead and see what he's got to say.
Guys and gals, me Mutahar, and I was once almost given $10,000 for promoting Raid Shadow Legends.
A good amount.
You might be wondering, oh Muta, why would you not take such a paycheck? Well, there was a lot of reasons for that, and one of them came down to I surely can't support a game that's pretty much a microtransaction dumpster fire to begin with. Now, why would I tell you this story now? Well, a while back, somebody sent me this cute little tweet on Twitter, and I figured I might as well talk about it, and I want to get into my side of the story, and basically just a final sort of like burn, like scorched earth policy with all of this nonsense. Now, Raid RPG, a Twitter account, their main Twitter as far as I know, tweeted out, "Hi there, we do not sponsor, we cooperate only with those YouTubers who play our game and want to be our influencers. We do not pay money for it."
Okay, so I don't think that at the time of release of his video here, they had answered this question yet. But basically, this was in reference to content creators like myself, Chosen, Hell Hades. Like, basically the ones that play their game for free, and then the money we make is off YouTube ad revenue. So that's what this was originally referencing. What's ironic, though, is I actually have been sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, and several of us have been as well, because there's like Twitch can sponsor you. I've been sponsored through Stream Elements multiple times. So technically, we have actually been sponsored. So.
And that was by Alina, which I believe is a sweet little intern at Raid Shadow Legends, to which I'll respond with, hey, listen, I understand being an intern at Raid probably doesn't fucking come with a whole lot of perks, but I don't think you should lie about a very blatant fallacy that exists. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, most YouTubers that I know, every YouTuber in the world that has a channel with at least one fucking subscriber, has probably received a paid promotion inquiry by Raid Shadow Legends directly or from a third party. Now, I've been receiving these third-party even after...
Yeah, if you're a larger YouTuber, you'll get spammed by them, for sure. If you're not a large YouTuber, you don't get offers like crazy.
After I left Raid Shadow Legends with a fucking burn mark up the ass, like I literally goat-seed the entire game. And you know what? I still got sponsorship offers. Oh, some ordinary... Mr. Ordinary...
Which is interesting, because the reason why he still gets sponsorship offers, I mentioned this in the previous video, is that they don't care how you promote their game. Like, for them, they just take free advertising if they can get it, and they really don't care if you trash on the game or whatever. I mean, they might say they do, but they really don't. Those sponsors, because I mean, you can look at the people they sponsor. Like, look at Incognito Mode's channel, which is basically the Internet Historian's second channel. Some of the ads he's done, like they go pretty far down the line. I mean, the guy's got them dressed in like a hood, you know, it's crazy.
Gamers, we realize you like video games. Do you want to play Raid? No! No! Okay, no. I wasn't kidding when I said I'd rather play Fallout 76 than Raid. Okay, that's a true statement. And I don't even play Fallout 76. Now, when I first talked about Raid, I gave it a very... I think the best words that I had was it was a game for literal cuckolds. Listen,
that is what he said.
When your game pretty much auto-battles itself after the first hour, you know that you have nothing tangible. The game is literally for cuckolds. Oh, let me put in like $100 and get a champion. Oh my God, it's auto-battling. That's all the game is. Now,
that's mobile games.
Let me just get on with this, okay?
That's gotcha games.
I played tons of games like Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid is a bad version.
I played Game of War back in the day, Fire Age, when years ago at work, when I had nothing better to do. And
oh man, this is a good... Okay, dude, I remember these games. Like, I don't remember the name of the game, but it was very similar to this. It was the profile style, and you would just build these crappy little bases, and you would like build catapults and stuff and like attack the other people, and your bases would just get like wiped out. Like you would just get wiped out and then basically be starting over, and people would pay money for that.
Had to like load this game up to wait for a render to finish. And you know what? I absolutely despised it. While I never spent a penny in that game, I realized very quickly that I would
Okay, to be fair though, these examples he's showing, in my opinion, this is the actual worst variant of mobile games you can get. I actually think this genre, like the one we're looking at right here, is actual dog shit. I mean, I know there's tons of people that like it, and they probably would watch me saying it about this the same way I'm watching him talk about Raid Shadow Legends, so I get it, but it's just, to me, this is the worst one.
Not get far. We're talking about playing this game, getting absolutely destroyed by whales that were dumping tens of thousands of dollars a month, absolutely butt blasting me in this game. And I realized, you know what?
Correct, brother.
I'm not going to get abused anymore. I'm just going to delete the fucking app and go somewhere else.
All right.
But games like Raid Shadow Legends, where you have these teams that you amass and you build and you send them out for their warfare, quote unquote, this cutesy little bullshit.
Now, I was going to keep this part really cutesy, but this is a game that I found called Kiss of War that's pretty much the exact same game as what we've been looking at.
Yep,
except they added a dating simulator where you can actually give gifts to a lot of the hot females you can find in World War II, and also sexually harass them every once in a while. Don't know how that's going to fly by, but yes, that exists, and that is the world we live in.
You realize very quickly that the game doesn't actually exist. Now, Raid's claims of console quality graphics, which was hilarious, because if we're talking console quality graphics, the range is pretty fucking big.
Again, right?
So what are we talking about, Raid? PS1 or PS4 Pro graphics? Where the fuck are we going with this? The brilliant story that Raid likes to tout is the same fucking story that I've seen in every of these gotcha team-based games.
You're not wrong, dude.
You know, recently I played a game called Tom Clancy's Elite Squad to get a different perspective on these types of games, and I realized
because I was scrolling through this and I saw this part, and this is the part I was waiting for. I played this game. This game's actually kind of fun, man.
Quickly that the storylines are non-existent.
If
you genuinely find the storyline to this shit exciting, then I'm pretty sure you probably find a Browser storyline to be the most exhilarating fucking piece of fiction that you've ever seen. You might even believe that it's non-fiction to an extent. That may be your story requirement. Look, I'm not going to say that I expect all my stories to be on par with, you know, fucking LA Noire or like Heavy Rain or Detroit Become Human or Death Stranding or anything, but I at least expect some intellectual stimulation, which Raid does not provide. The storyline that Raid has doesn't...
fair. I mean, it doesn't provide the intellectual quality at all from the story. I would agree with you, my friend. I do think that the challenges... Like, look, I haven't beat the Hydra. It's hard. I mean, I could spend the time and effort, and I believe I could accomplish it, or at least get decent enough scores to not be too embarrassing. But I just don't want to. So I can understand his point, but I do think the challenge is there, and I do think the challenge is in. I mean, look, how many third-party applications do we need to make to help people like optimize gear? Why are people paying other people consistently to take over their accounts to figure it out for them? I don't think it... I was seeing an argument in the Diablo Immortal Discord the other day where people were saying that auto battle is bad, and I can understand that because I just played a game that's sort of like Genshin Impact that had auto battle, and it kind of ruined the game for me pretty quickly. But there's also people saying that auto battle games like Raid in particular take absolutely zero brain power, like all the bosses are easy and everything. But like Raid is actually quite difficult. And you could argue the difficulty comes from the lack of heroes and the money thereof that you need to spend to acquire them. And I probably agree with that argument, but the game is actually difficult at the higher level.
Captures a player in. Ask any fucking Raid player, for instance, okay? Ask any Raid Shadow Legends player.
Okay, ask me.
Play shit like Game of War.
Yeah, ask me.
Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, or any of these fucking games. Ask them what the story for their game is. If they can come up with a sentence longer than two fucking, like, if they can come up with like a 14-word sentence or longer, then I'll probably believe that there is some story to this game. And
Okay, let me try. So there's really bad evil people that break free, then get attacked, then get defended. Then there's another queen somewhere. I think there was a spider somewhere in there, and there was good people and bad people. There's something about peasants. I know there was a Casso at one point. How'd I do?
just missing the whole mark. But I almost guarantee
Play this game professionally, ladies and gentlemen.
You won't find a person.
Yeah, the story.
The gameplay for these games are also non-existent.
Oh, shout out to Layla and her lore stories, because there is actually like a lot of lore about each hero, and she's probably the only one that's actually doing a good job telling these stories.
The thing that fucking pisses me off. This is why I hate games like this to begin with. See, I play a lot of games. I play a wide variety. You know, I play a game called Danganronpa. I play the entire series. Great, great game series, okay? There are people that would look at me and say, Muda, Danganronpa's not a game. You're reading a fucking picture book. And to an extent, yeah, I agree with you. I'm playing a visual novel with some cool court battle scenes in the middle. It's for me, okay? You know, I also play games like Monster Hunter World. I also play games like Rainbow Six Siege. I play a wide variety, and I've realized one thing. There are games that have gameplay, that engages, that keeps me intellectually stimulated.
True.
But then you have shit like Raid, where it's really just a crack den. It's the crack den of mobile gaming. And let's get down to what I mean by that. Okay?
Not wrong.
The gameplay for these kind of games like Raid pretty much boils down to you pumping money in. If you never put money in Raid, then yeah, you can play it for like 2, 3, 4 hours. You may be able to play Raid for 2 days.
Don't go that way.
With an enjoyable curve. But the moment you get to that,
it's a bad take.
Which effectively is when the tutorial stops, and the game.
Okay, so. I mean, maybe that's when the pack offers come up. I know he hasn't played the game long enough because he's only showed footage of the story. Same thing would happen with upper echelon games. They only show footage from the first 5 minutes of the game, so they think a dunk on the game, which is fine because I've done that too. I get it. But yeah, this is a bad take. Like, free to play is actually pretty viable in Raid, surprisingly enough. There is no paywall, really. I mean, unless we're talking Platinum Arena. The difference is Raid is really good at getting you to want to spend money. I mean, I agree with his assessment of it being like the cracked in, but that's like saying crack is the paywall to something. It's like, no, people just like crack. Like, there's a difference.
Game stops giving you free microtransactions or free speed ups or free stamina, and you're left to fend for yourself. That's when the game gets fucking boring. Because Raid has this concept, or games like...
This is back, to be fair, this is back in 2020, and I think so you can see here, and the energy system has gotten significantly better with the freebies over time. So, you know, back when, to be fair to him, back when he was talking, this was more true than it is now.
Raid have the concept of constantly releasing new content every month, whether it be a new character or a new map. The reality of this content is that they release a character that has a drop rate of 0.0001%.
Yep.
So how do you get this character? You either get really fucking lucky and get a character, or you put in hundreds of dollars to unlock loot boxes that could get you shards for the character. That once you get all these shards, you combine them together for a character, and this character is grossly overpowered when it releases, so you can use it to get past the new story content. It's a never-ending grind. By the time you're finished, the crack dealer comes with this fresh batch of crack that you're just constantly going for.
Yeah,
that's why
that's correct.
The crack den of gaming.
That's
now,
fair.
Of course, I can sit here and review games like Raid all I want, but it's never going to change the entire dealio.
Correct as well.
What really, really grinds my gears in this situation is the lying. You know, telling people that you're not paying YouTubers is a gross lie. In fact, it's not only a lie, it's downright fraudulent when you look at FTC guidelines. You know, the way that...
To be fair, I think that, like, I would love to roast Player Him over the coals on this one. I think right when they tweeted it out, I did. But as I sit here now, I would say that I think this one was probably like a misunderstanding by the lady. Like, I don't think this was intentional. If true, it doesn't make it better that, you know, they did in fact say that, and it's just like not true. But I don't think it was intentional, and I think they were referring to us, the content creators who do not get paid for making videos on the game, other than the promotions that some of us have gotten, which not everyone does.
Advertising for Raid works, and I'll get into
it. They did plug some of them in the game.
You have YouTuber, okay? Imagine you've got me, you've got Raid. Now you've got Company A. This is a Company A's job is to basically facilitate the connection between me and a video game. Me and Raid never talk to each other. Company A does it all for us. Company A comes to me and says, hey, how much are you willing to be paid for promoting this game? Now, of course, when I was in this situation, the promotions averaged out to around $10,000 per promotion. That's a lot of money, but you have to understand, when you have a channel of my size, that's the amount of money that you're going to be tossed to. And that's kind of lowballing to an extent as well. So when they come up to you and pay this amount, then...
I mean, I'll tell you now, I've been paid a couple $1,000 just to live stream Raid Shadow Legends for a period of time. And I was going to do that quite literally anyway.
You get a script. Now, the script for Raid is the reason why I never went in for any form of advertising for it at all. First, it's fishy for me to advertise a game franchise or a game type that I find personally predatory. But then the problem with the script is getting into the personal call of action. For those of you who don't know the term call of action, and when it comes to sponsorships, a call of action is to get you to download a certain app or try a product. And for some points, for a lot of sponsorship companies, a personal touch is always welcome, which I'm not against. You know, for most of my sponsorships, whenever I've done them, there was a personal touch that I can offer. And for a lot of tech-based sponsorships, I could also teach people about certain things within those sponsorships that
So if you don't understand what he's saying, basically what he's saying is like in any time that, or not any time, but a lot of the times that you're promoting a product or a download or something like that with these deals that YouTubers get, we'll have like a line where we're supposed to add in our own version of some word, you know, so it doesn't just sound like you're reading from a script. You're supposed to basically be like, and I really love it because if you listen to the Bill Burr podcast, this is one such thing. He'll actually read those parts out. It's hilarious. He'll be like, add some personal, you know, story to it. He was like, oh, you want me to add some story? Like, so this is very common no matter what field you're in. This is just how sponsorships work in Jimro, and that's sort of what he's stating.
I enjoyed. But for games like Raid, almost every game company that made a game like this and tried promoting it with me always wanted me to be very personal and try to almost goad you into this game. And the personal touches are really, really facetious. So they'll ask
this is news to me.
Hey, listen, tell these people to join a guild or join the game because you really enjoy it or you really want to.
Okay, that part's true.
Community in the game.
No, that part that's 100% true. I can factually say here today, I've had paid sponsorships where they want you to mention that you'll have a guild and people can join. I know that that's true.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any YouTuber that made a Raid Shadow Legends video sponsorship and they ever goaded you into joining it because they wanted you to get into a guild and they really played it, go onto their guild, go to their actual profile and check how much they've played it. I guarantee you not past 2-3 hours of playtime probably exists.
Yeah, I'll be dead.
After that, you're getting into the very rare YouTubers who actually enjoy this shit.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about that really, really grates me is, we have a personal connection, okay? Here's the thing, if you watch a regular ad, you'll probably laugh at it and say, whatever, okay? Some YouTubers make pretty funny parody ads of Raid, and Raid lets them get away with it because I guess they don't fucking care. But then there are the YouTubers that really, really ham it up and get their user base to download this nonsense when it's obviously facetious. See, psychologically, it's...
So I said and thought about this for a minute and paused it because I wanted to think about my take on this. And it's like, here's what I've come to the conclusion to. Sponsorships are a tricky thing. There is 3 moving parts to sponsorships. One of which is the audience watching the sponsorships. The other is the person doing the sponsorship, meaning the channel person, either, you know, this guy, me, whoever, like whoever's a YouTuber. Then there's the person paying for the sponsorships. Now, the person paying for the sponsorships is supporting the person making the content. The fans are also supporting the person making the content. The fans want to see, if they're a fan and truly like the person, want to see the person succeed. Okay? A lot of times, sponsorships flat out give them money for those people to be able to do success. Make no mistake, money matters on YouTube. You can literally buy advertising. You can buy art. You can buy editors. It's crucial, I mean, to the development process, and you can see this with any large YouTuber that you follow. Like, I follow Ludwig. I think he's interesting, and he would be one such example. More money. He's got 50 employees now, and he's a very successful YouTuber. So the way I see it is if you have somebody handing you money, it's not very nice of you to then shit on their product. So if I get sponsored by something, I'm either not going to accept the sponsorship if it's something I don't like, or if it's something I'm like, okay, I'll accept your sponsorship. Because, like, make no mistake, I've declined NFTs and tell them to go pound sand, and I've made videos saying such. So I understand his point here about absolutely hating a particular thing and not wanting to accept the sponsorship. The difference is, because that exists, I don't then go and say, all sponsorships you're not allowed to, like, promote. Like, I don't know if you watch, like, the Bill Burr podcast, but he does a ton of sponsorships, and I sit through them. I very rarely buy any of the stuff he talks about. I have bought a couple of things because I actually thought it did sound interesting. But but I don't really begrudge him doing sponsorships because that's how he pays all his, but that's how he supports himself. That's his job. And I know you could argue, well, he also gets paid just by you listening, and that's true. But I don't mind, and I don't begrudge him the success of reading off a minute ad because I understand that's how advertisement works. And make no mistake, we, the YouTubers, as well as people like Bill Burr, even though he's a comedian, work in advertising because we make money off of advertising. So I think if we're trying to do the moral high ground, I would argue we've already sold our soul to the advertising because we're on YouTube, we're making money off ads, and like it or not, my friend, Raid Shadow Legend ads are showing up on your YouTube. So I don't really understand the argument, to be fair.
A lot easier if you go up to a YouTuber that you admire and they tell you, hey, I really enjoy this game. So then it kind of psychologically gets you into that idea of downloading it and playing it for yourself, and then probably finding out very quickly that you're diving into a fucking money pit. And that's the issue. See, I wouldn't make this video if Raid didn't fucking make the claim that they never paid anybody, but it's such an obvious bullshit lie that I'm surprised that they could say that and the FTC isn't going after them for being completely fraudulent. You know, for me, games like this are highly predatory. I don't agree with games like Raid. And primarily I don't agree with them is because they're very obviously a money pit. They pretty much profit off of the weak individuals that become whales by constantly pumping their money into a game that gives you no actual reward. And I know that gaming is subjective. And
so here's the thing. As somebody who's a whale and spent a lot of money and would consider myself a dopamine addict in these games for sure, I absolutely believe that the reward itself is the dopamine. I'm not saying that's where the value is, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. What I'm saying is for whales like me, the people who do spend more money than we would probably like to on these type of mobile games, the reason is when we open the shard, we're excited when we get the hero we want. And that gambling feeling, basically straight to gin, is why people do it. That's what they want. Raid knows this. And like I said earlier, they're the best at getting people to want to spend money because of how good they are at handing out the dopamine.
And people have different tastes. But ladies and gentlemen, these are not games that have any form of value. You're sitting in there pumping in your cash for the next content drop. Do you understand? Yeah. That is like fucking drugs. You're basically getting a high every time they release new characters, and you're just getting your fix by getting this new character if you're a whale. Do you understand the concept? Okay, you're never winning anything. When you put 50 fucking...
technically, yeah, I guess you're not really winning anything when Platinum's a shit show. At the top, you're just competing with everyone else. I mean, I don't really disagree with his point. He makes some good points here at the end. Honestly, I'll give it to him.
$1,000 into a mobile game like Raid. You don't get anything of value out of it.
Yeah, you don't.
All you're doing is ruining your financial status and wasting your fucking time. You know, for the amount of money some people put into games like this, it's very cheap for you to get a game like Stardew Valley for your cell phone, or the Grand Theft Auto series, or the Final Fantasy series.
And none of those games will give gambling addicts the feeling that they want to feel, just so you know. That's why Gosh is
or some genuinely good mobile premium games, instead of constantly dumping your cash into this and coming out of it feeling absolutely penniless and worthless by the end of it. You know, I think games like this are pretty much the definition of gambling. And I've had a terrible experience with people in gambling, and it's why I'm so against anything like this in general. Ladies and gentlemen.
So there's two people in two camps always with this stuff. There's always the, we shouldn't have gambling. It destroys lives. It destroys families. It destroys people. It destroys finances, and it's unhealthy. And then there's the field of let people do with what they want with their own money. You can't go policing people. You can't tell people who are okay with losing their money because they like gambling that they're not allowed to do that. And typically this is almost the exact same argument you're going to see with drugs. People are going to do the same thing, say you shouldn't be allowed to have drugs, they destroy lives, they destroy families, etc. We should police it, which we do. And then we have the same camp for it should be free, it should be legal. These are two different mentalities. These people will never agree. Typically, the people, like he's already stated and confessed to, is that people that have huge anti-gambling tendencies or the type of people that shut down other people's freedoms because they believe you shouldn't have them because they're bad for you, have personal experience with people that have had that. So if we were talking about drugs today, and you asked my dad, he would tell you because I have, dad pins or whatever, that drugs shouldn't be legal because he doesn't like that I do them. You know what I mean? Like under his impression, I don't consider it drugs, but you understand what I'm saying. So that is basically the same argument I see with this stuff. It's like, is it predatory? Or sure, in the sense that Pepsi advertisements are predatory. Like they're in your face all the time. It's annoying. They have the money to do it. That's how marketing works. Is it bad for you? Probably. Is it something you should be allowed to do? I don't know that I want to shut down other people's abilities to be able to do something personally. And you can dunk on the people that do it, and I think that's fine. And I also think he's made a bunch of fair points that are like, yeah, you're right about this type of stuff. So what is the answer? What do we do about it? Well, the answer is nothing. You let the people that want to waste their money, like me. I've wasted, as everyone knows. Here's another video of me saying I've wasted $16,000 on these games, which I have. Let me do it, because if the only reason I'm not allowed to do it is because somebody else thinks I shouldn't do it because it's bad for me, I think that's a weird thing. It's a weird vibe. That's just my own take, though. I mean, you can let me know why you think you in the comments should have the ability to remove people's freedom to do that. But
I just gotta say,
I'm in the right
camp
as opposed to the left side of the camp
it's
on this one in particular.
Facetious. I think it's fraudulent, and hopefully the FTC looks into a lot of their claims. And you know what? The reason why Raid really is just complete trash to me is every year there's going to be a new game like Raid. Raid will be forgotten in a year, but then there will be a new sponsor. And
okay, so it's 2020. It's been 2 years. I think it's still doing pretty good, to be fair, but I will say it's lost some traction.
And the year after that, there will be a new facetious sponsor out there. Look, I'm against predatory mobile gaming, okay, because I think it's a bad sign for regular gaming and even good mobile gaming out there. It overshadows gaming, and it makes it look like a complete trash pile to the general public out there when they look at how...
I think it's a bad look. I'll agree it's a bad look for some of the mobile games, and it's given people like me who work on mobile games, or whatever you want to call it, annoying things where it's like, oh, well, you're just a mobile gamer or whatever. It's like, sure, but I also have 5,000 hours in League and got paid to be a coach for a bit, and I played RuneScape for 20 years, and I